countries. The Sultanate of Oman seeks to achieve economic returns of approximately 40 million Omani Riyals during the winter tourist seasons 2025-2026. And several Palestinians are martyred and others are wounded in an Israeli drone attack north of the Gaza Strip. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. To strengthen economic relations and open new horizons for cooperation between Sultanate of Oman and the Republic of Tunisia, the Tunisian Omani Economic Forum commenced in the Tunisian capital. The forum aims to advance trade and investments partnerships and explore promising opportunities between the two brotherly countries. The forum also witnessed the signing of several memorandum of understanding that have strengthened avenues for trade cooperation between the two sides. The delegation of the Sultanate of Oman was headed by His Excellency Qais bin Mohammed Al Yusuf, Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investments Promotion. The Minister of Heritage and Tourism aims to achieve economic returns of around 40 million Omani Riyals from the winter tourism seasons of 2025-2026. Here is more to learn.
With more than 640 trips and 110,000 tourists from various target markets, the Ministry of Heritage and Tourism aims to achieve economic returns of around 40 million Omani Riyals from the winter season of 2025-2026. This effort is accompanied by a package of promotional initiatives to enhance the presence of the Sultanate of Oman as an exceptional tourist destination in the region during a season that annually witnesses increasing interest from various tourists seeking unique natural and cultural experiences. Some promotional efforts also included extensive digital campaigns aimed at key markets in Europe, GCC countries, and Asia, focusing on winter activities such as camping in deserts and mountains, exploring caves, enjoying beaches, alongside cultural and seasonal events held in various governorates.
The cruise lines are a very, very important factor for the country. They bring in a lot of different tourists from around the world. We have for the 25 and 26 season about 63 calls that we're going to be working on, and that's around 150,000 visitors for the season of October to April. They bring in a lot of great benefit to the country, to the small, medium enterprises, to the restaurants, the shops, and of course to the different sightseeing tours that can be done in the desert, in the mountains.
The winter season witnessed the arrival of the Islamic cruise ship, which is making a debut in the Sultanate of Oman at the port of Salalah, representing a significant qualitative leap for the cruise ship sector, as for the wedding tourism season, a package of incentives and promotional initiatives is planned to attract wedding organization in the Sultanate of Oman, especially from the Indian market and nearby regional markets.
Honeymoon tourism, it's a great benefit to us because of how the country is. It's a peaceful country. It's located in a very good location. We have great connectivity in terms of airlines. It's beaches, it's mountains, it's scenery. That's what makes it one of the best places. And more importantly, the people are very hospitable, which people tend to look at as a very important factor in deciding to come here for a honeymoon.
As a result of the recent promotional efforts, the Sultanate of Oman has witnessed a significant increase in tourist numbers from target markets, including the Russian market, which has risen by 140% until the end of October this year. Additionally, the Swiss and Dutch markets have increased by 50 to 60%, while the number of tourists from the Spanish market has risen by 21%.
The Muscat Stock Exchange's main index reached its highest level in nearly 9 years last week, surpassing the 5,800 points mark. The total market capitalization of the Muscat Stock Exchange also saw weekly gains of over 600 million Omani Riyals, exceeding 31 billion Omani Riyals by the end of last week's trading. The main index rose by 224 points to close at 5,860 points. The value of trading last week rose to 215,700,000 Omani Riyals. Total refinery output in the Sultanate of Oman grew by 10.9% by the end of October 2025. Production of motor fuels decreased by 5.8% compared to the previous month, according to the preliminary statistics issued by the National Center for Statistics and Information. Meanwhile, liquefied petroleum gas production rose by 14% to reach approximately 6.4 million barrels compared to the same period last year. Regarding petrochemicals, statistics showed that gasoline production increased by 2.9%, reaching 149,100 metric tons. The gasoline exports rose slightly by 9% by the end of October. The Oman Stroke Society, in partnership with the Ministry of Heritage and Tourism, held the 8th edition of the annual Oman Stroke Conference in Muscat. The opening ceremony was presided over by His Excellency Ibrahim bin Saeed Al Kharousi, Under Secretary of the Ministry of Heritage and Tourism for Heritage. Here is more.
Stroke science continues to evolve at a rapid pace, driving new approaches that can change patient outcomes in a matter of minutes. The 8th annual Oman Stroke Conference held in Muscat brought Omani specialists and international experts from leading institutions to strengthen knowledge and improve regional stroke care.
This conference, we have 32 speakers coming to us from different parts. We have speakers from Harvard, from Johns Hopkins, from Calgary, and other universities as well. And in this version, we're actually focusing also on the robotic advances in terms of the treatment of stroke patients.
I'm mostly talking about bleeding in the brain. So that's a different kind of stroke where a blood vessel rupture and blood accumulates in the brain. So I'm talking about how we can manage this, how we can help people recover better and improve, and how we can prevent it.
The conference sessions focused on stroke early diagnosis, emergency response, rehabilitation, and emerging technologies such as robotics and artificial intelligence.
I will speak about PFO, which is a disease of young patients. They tend to have a stroke because there's still a passage in the heart from the right side to the left side. And it's something that we can treat by micro treatment by cardiologists. So very important to diagnose and to treat these patients after a stroke. Young physician needs to be aware that the PFO exists. They have to exclude all causes, other causes before treating it, because it's a rare disease, so you have to do a good diagnosis and then refer your patient to the cardiologist to close it.
So the focus of this conference, what I am speaking is about the disease which causes stenosis in the brain and the stroke, and the awareness that people take more and more measures to get aware about how to prevent the stroke.
This year's edition of the conference included the formal launch of the Asia-Africa Stroke Summit, supported by new agreements aimed at expanding training, research, and regional collaboration. The knowledge shared at the conference will flow into clinics and hospitals across the region, empowering medical teams and raising recovery prospects for stroke patients. Reporting from the Governorate of Muscat, this is Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
And now to learn more, joining us now is Dr. Amal Al-Hashmi, a senior consultant neurologist, founder and the president of the Oman Stroke Society and chairperson of this conference. Doctor, thank you for being with us, Dr. Amal.
It's my honor and pleasure.
Thank you very much. Dr. Amal, before we talk about the conference outcomes, could you explain in simple terms what a stroke is, and then tell us what you consider the main highlight of this year's event?
Yes, sure. So stroke is a vascular neurological disease that is characterized by sudden loss or arrest of particular brain function. It is considered to be the second leading cause of death worldwide and third leading of disability. In this version of our conference, the focus was on the use of artificial intelligence in the diagnosis and the treatment of different stroke subtypes, but also a focus was on the role of robotics on the rehabilitation stage of stroke care. This conference version also held multiple debates in a gray zone areas that multiple research is needed in the future.
Now, how would you describe Oman's current progress in stroke awareness prevention and early intervention, especially among the general public?
I believe there has been a significant evolution in stroke care overall in Oman, whether we are talking about the intervention perspective of it or the prevention. However, I think there is still room for future improvement.
And finally, what would you say in particular, especially about the 8th edition this year, whether in scientific content, participation, or its expected impact?
So, Mr. Abdullah, with no doubt, this conference has been and will remain a great platform for collaboration, exchange of knowledge among the experts in the field of stroke. We had 32 different speakers coming to us in this version from different parts of the world, including Harvard Medical School and Johns Hopkins and other universities as well. But this version considered to be a significant milestone, as we have signed numerous of MOU with regional and international stroke bodies and organizations. And we also launched a new Omani brand called Asian African Stroke Summit that will be hosted next year in Oman, and Egypt will be the host country for the second edition of it in 2027, followed by Iran.
Congratulations for that. But before we leave you, we would like you just to highlight what are the signs and symptoms if someone is really suspecting to have a stroke or is going to have a stroke. If you could just brief us on that before we leave you.
Yes, sure. So stroke is considered to be a broad spectrum syndrome, which the signs and symptoms depend on the particular area of the brain that can be affected. So at times it can be demonstrated by sudden loss or arrest of speech or language, or sudden onset of difficulty with movement, orientation, or balance or sensation.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Amal Al-Hashmi, for your valuable insight and for your continued efforts in advancing stroke care in Oman. We wish you and the Oman Stroke Society every success, and we look forward to the outcomes of this conference contributing to better health for all. Thank you once again. The Oman Summit for Diabetes and Endocrine Across the Lifespan was wrapped up in Muscat after 2 days of scientific discussions and workshops aimed at enhancing patients' care across all age groups. Here is more to learn. The Oman Summit for Diabetes and Endocrine Across the Lifespan 2025 concluded in Muscat after 2 days of scientific sessions, specialized lectures and practical workshops. The event brought together leading experts in diabetology, obesity and endocrinology from Oman and abroad.
I'm currently here in Oman at a very specific diabetes meeting where more than 200 colleagues from all over Oman from different specialities come together to discuss what are the current challenges in diabetes care. And there are numerous challenges, and the number of people living with diabetes are increasing also in Oman. But number one, Oman has a brilliant structure of primary health care, and this helps everyone living with diabetes. But there are lifestyle-related aspects driving the prevalence, and one is physical inactivity. So we are not physical active anymore, and over the last 100 years, we have lost our habit of physical activity. And the second one is the accumulation of fat in the liver and in the pancreas due to the consumption of fried carbs.
The summit served as an important scientific platform that contributes to improving national healthcare standards while strengthening collaboration between the Oman Diabetes Association, the Ministry of Health and the National Center for Diabetes and Endocrinology. Participants underscored the importance of joint efforts to enhance the quality of care for patients across all age groups.
I came to participate in Oman Summit for Endocrine and Diabetes Disorders, and I'm very happy that this conference is very educational, comprehensive. It gives chance for networking and interaction between colleagues across the Gulf countries, and it's been a wonderful opportunity for me and for other colleagues to meet and discuss the latest in endocrinology and metabolism across ages.
Throughout the sessions, international and local specialists reviewed the latest clinical practices and technologies in diabetes and endocrine disorders, complemented by hands-on workshops in diabetic food care, glucose monitoring, carbohydrate counting and insulin pump therapy.
We are happy to have all these specialists and senior specialists coming to us from international. We have the president of the IDF, International Diabetes Federation. We have colleagues from the Gulf who will enrich our program, and we are happy to have more than 300 people attending this Congress.
This conference is discussing very update in diabetes and endocrine. And we meet the most expert doctors around the world, from Gulf and from Europe and from US. Yes, we got a lot of new informations and updates, especially in diabetes and endocrine.
The summit concluded by reaffirming the need for continued scientific exchange, intersectoral cooperation and the adoption of advanced medical approaches to further support patients with diabetes and endocrine conditions in the Sultanate of Oman. And now let's move to the regional and international news. A Palestinian was murdered and 3 others were wounded in an Israeli drone attack on a gathering of Palestinians in the Atatra area north of Gaza Strip. Another Palestinian was also murdered by wounds he sustained yesterday when Israeli forces targeted a mosque in the Beit Lahia project. This comes as the Israeli army continues its airstrikes on various areas in Rafah while simultaneously shelling Palestinians' homes in the so-called Yellow Line areas of Khan Yunis and the Shuja'iyya neighborhood. Meanwhile, Israeli forces also demolished residential buildings in the Sheikh Zayed area north of the Gaza Strip. In Sudan, 50 people, including 33 children, were killed in a drone attack by the Rapid Support Forces RSF on a kindergarten in the town of Kadogi, south of Kordofan. In a statement released late Friday, the Sudanese Doctors Network indicated that paramedics at the scene were targeted in a second unexpected attack, suggesting the death toll could rise. The network's statement also noted that communications outages in the area made it difficult to report on the victims of the attack. Now to Washington. Washington described talks between U.S. and Ukrainian officials regarding the Russian-Ukrainian war as a productive and constructive. Steve Witkoff, U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy, met with Ukraine's chief negotiator Rustem Umerov for 2 days in Florida, attempting to reach a settlement to the Russian-Ukrainian war. The U.S. State Department said in a statement that the two sides agreed on a framework for security arrangements, an agenda for supporting Ukraine's reconstruction and economic initiatives between Washington and Kiev. They also stressed the need to end the war and take credible steps towards a ceasefire and de-escalation. The statement also indicated that the Ukrainian side emphasized at the meeting that Kiev priority is securing a settlement that protects its independence and sovereignty and guarantees the safety of Ukrainians. The death toll from floods and landslides on the Indonesian islands of Sumatra has risen to at least 883. Approximately 520 people are still missing, with the Indonesian Disaster Management Agency explaining that the figures cover 3 areas: Aceh, North and West Sumatra. All 3 areas were struck by days of torrential rain, causing rivers to overflow, landslides to occur, and severe damage to transportation infrastructure happen. The agency also reported that around 4,200 people were injured. They warned that the number of victims could rise further as rescue teams, each area still isolated by destroyed bridges and blocked roads. And finally, 4 people were killed and others wounded in the Spin Boldak area of Kandahar on Afghanistan borders following heavy exchanges of fire between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Afghan government spokesman said that Pakistani forces launched attacks in the area Friday evening. Meanwhile, Pakistan, through its Prime Minister's spokesman, accused Afghan forces of unprovoked firing along the Chaman border region. The exchange of the fire came about a week after a new round of peace talks between the 2 neighbors concluded without progress, despite both sides agreeing to maintain the ceasefire. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The Sultanate of Oman and the Republic of Tunisia discuss ways to strengthen economic relations and open new horizons for cooperation between the 2 brotherly countries. The Sultanate of Oman seeks to achieve economic returns of approximately 40 million Omani Riyals during the winter tourist seasons 2025-2026. And several Palestinians are martyred and others are wounded in an Israeli drone attack north of Gaza Strip. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin, come to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television. This news is being directed by Musa Al-Nasri. Thank you for joining us and good night.